The SpongeBob SquarePants movie didn't just hit theaters in 2004, it divided audiences and marked the end of SpongeBob's golden era. This $30 million gamble featured David Hasselhoff, live-action sequences, and was meant to be the series finale. But here's the thing about early 2000s nostalgia. It doesn't always hold water. Was this the perfect childhood farewell, or just an overhyped marketing campaign? We're diving into Bikini Bottom to find out if this was an underrated masterpiece or the moment SpongeBob jumped the shark. Find out today as we watch another movie at Grandma's. Hello, please come in and welcome to Grandma's. I'm your host, Isaac. I'm ready. Who's with me to consider the 2004 SpongeBob SquarePants the movie?
This is Seth. All bubble-blowing babies will be beaten senseless by every able-bodied patron in the bar.
Very nice. Welcome, everyone, to Grandma's. It's great to see you. Glad you stopped by. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm doing fine. Really excited for this one.
Yes, me as well. This is just hyped in nostalgia. We say that all the time, but this is different. This is like 2000s, and I think you could not escape this movie. Whether you saw it or not, I just feel like a lot of people are familiar with this one. But before we do, we want to give you, the viewer at home, the proper spoiler warning. So from here on out, consider yourself warned. So let's look at a few movie facts for this film. Again, we are considering the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It was released on November 19th, 2004 in the US. It had a budget of $30 million. The box office, though, $141 million. Looking around at some reviews, we have IMDb at 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is a 68%. Letterboxd has a 3.9 out of 5. Currently, as of this recording, you can find this numerous places for free on Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and many more. The voice talent stars Tom Kenny as the title character, SpongeBob SquarePants, but it also has Alec Baldwin, Scarlett Johansson, and David Hasselhoff. It is in association with Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Pictures. And last but not least, we got to get to Granny's family-friendly rating. So Seth, what is that rating?
Granny's family-friendly rating for SpongeBob the movie is B for crude humor and violence.
All right. We'll probably talk about a little bit more too, but just your typical cartoon fun overall. So with that said, back in 2004, this is 20 plus years old. I'm very interested to hear, what are some of your first memories with this film?
Don't really recall seeing this one all the way through, but I've seen some of the TV episodes. So my first memories were just really seeing it on the big screen type of deal, like seeing a big motion picture version.
Nice. For me, I think I was too cool for school for SpongeBob. When this cartoon came out, I was like, this is so dumb, and I'm getting too old for this stuff. That's what I kept telling myself. I'm like, this is too much of a kid's show. But I do remember this movie, and it made splashes, pun intended, I guess, of it really rippled across. I remember just, you could not escape the ads for this film. And here in Ohio, I would visit amusement park. It was Paramount's Kings Island at the time. It's not Paramount anymore, but they would just shove SpongeBob in your face. They had a whole ride where you would see a screen and the seat would move with you and stuff. And it was a fun ride. I remember being on it, even though I wasn't as familiar with SpongeBob. Kind of like you, I caught a few episodes here and there. So my first memories, I'll just be frank, I wasn't really a fan back in the day when it first released. With that said, though, I'm interested to hear, what were your expectations going back on the rewatch?
Well, to go and agree with you, to laugh and try not to cry.
I like it. Yeah, the thing is, times change. I was like teenage back when this came out. So like I said, I was kind of getting older. Looking back on it, I was thinking, this probably isn't going to be as bad as I once thought, especially now that I have my kids with me. It's a different experience. It's not going to be just my thoughts. I can enjoy a film if it's obviously well done. I'm not going to say anything, but if it's enjoyable to an extent, that's what I was just hoping for. Just an enjoyable time with my kids because they definitely like SpongeBob. We've watched some episodes here and there, and they seem to laugh at it. So that's what my expectations were. So let's just have a fun time with it. I was trying to keep it low. Don't expect too much out of it, but that's how I was approaching it. Well, before we get to our plot rewind, let's pause for just a moment to hear from our sponsors. Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. Okay, I think they still had the VHS back then. I hope it was orange, but let's take that out. Let's put it in the VCR and press play.
There's trouble brewing in Bikini Bottom. Someone has stolen King Neptune's crown. It's been made to look like Mr. Krabs has done it. Though he has just been passed over for a promotion of his dreams, SpongeBob stands by his boss. Along with his best friend Patrick, they set out on a mission to Shell City to reclaim the crown and save Mr. Krabs' life. Grab some popcorn, settle in for another movie at Grandma's.
All right. I feel like, just to give my quick observations, this feels like an episode of SpongeBob. They're really going for that kind of feel. But I'm interested. What is your first impressions as you're watching the movie?
I have notes just similar to what you just said, but so the humor was the focus of this one. I like how they banded together, even though SpongeBob was struggling with his own feelings. It was a different kind of take on it, but I did notice that, and I'll bring that up maybe later on some of the other things we talk about. As far as it did feel like a very long episode.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of respect them for that in a way. This is a movie, so it needs to feel more grand. It needs to have that theatrical, whatever feel you want to call it. But it does a good job of still capturing that because I was enough familiar. Like I said, I wasn't there watching every episode, but I'd seen enough that I was familiar with it going into this movie. Like, okay, the very opening definitely throws you for a loop of just live action pirates that are finding this treasure. I'm sorry, I laughed at it. It was so stupid and dumb, but I was laughing like, this is kind of funny. Like, it does a good job of just getting you into that mindset. Like, this is the show, all the silliness, and we're just going to hit the ground running. And it certainly does that. It's just like, this is going to be silly. So buckle up, just get ready for it. But yeah, open it up to you. Like, what kind of sticks out to you? Is it the plot or the silliness that you kind of hits you right away?
Really, the plot to me was surprisingly strong on this one. I was expecting it to be like like an episode or multiple episodes at that, but it really held true. Like, the beginning was pretty strong, and it kind of kept that strength throughout the whole film. I liked the plot.
I agree with you. I was actually really surprised. I was expecting just the most again, it does not try to hide anything. It's a silly show, but just this doesn't make any sense. I love the character of Plankton, and just he's always that like arch rival to the Krabby Patties and the Chum Bucket and everything. And when he comes out with the Plan Z, and oh man, I was actually laughing pretty hard. He comes out and he's just like, I will rule the world, and then he just gets stepped on by SpongeBob. And just ow, ow. I laughed at that whole scene. I was just like, that is, in my opinion, just great. Like, I love that kind of stuff about this movie. There's a lot of that throughout. But like you said, it's the plot of this very clever plan because it sets it up like he's failed and failed and failed, and that's what he does in the show. But this one actually works. It actually turns out where he succeeds in setting up Mr. Krabs and everything like that. I agree with you. I was very surprised. I think that was actually one of the strengths, surprisingly, about this film is the plot and just the way they, kind of layered it, even though it was still simple. It wasn't too complex, but it was more clever. I guess that's the word I'm trying to look for when it comes to that. But I guess the other thing is the characters. I mean, this is obviously the show. We should be familiar with the characters, but what did you think of the characters?
Well, aside from the main characters, I really appreciated Squidward and Plankton. They were my favorites. Just bringing the humor in a different direction, like a little bit darker, maybe. And I appreciate that more as I get older, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've had this discussion before. It's like, I think as you get older, Squidward becomes your favorite, regardless if you were a kid and like SpongeBob or Patrick or all those guys. He's just relatable, I think, on on a scale of just, I'm done with people, and especially an annoying character like SpongeBob, because yeah, SpongeBob is this popular character, but he can be annoying. I mean, he's just
over the top.
Yes, zany, just loud and energetic, and kids love it. That's great. But when you get older, it's just like, okay, I want some quiet. And can you imagine, like, what would you do if you got stuck on an island with SpongeBob? I guess a island under the water, so you could survive. But what would you even do? I'm interested to hear.
I don't want to think about that one.
I'm ready. Just constantly. Come on, let's do this. Let's do that. He's like a little kid. So, right. It's, but as annoying as I'll admit, like, that was part of why I thought I was too cool for school with SpongeBob is I felt he was really annoying. Just, this is for little kids. And he is. I mean, that's the target demographic, I would say. But I actually found him a little bit funny. As annoying as he could be at times, he had some great lines. They were silly, but they were funny. Him and Patrick Star, they're just great. I love their chemistry. They still continue that. That's something about the show is their friendship. And that's again, going back to the plot. They stick together as friends and they're trying to help Mr. Krabs, because he's frozen from King Neptune and trying to get this crown back to show he's innocent, but they overcome those challenges. I love that. I mean, it was just, I was really surprised. I can't say that enough of how my expectations, even as low as they were, I was, it kind of met that. I don't know, but anything else kind of open up to you? What are some things that stick out to you?
I don't know. I guess I could say that, like I said, it was like a very, very long episode. But fortunately, there were several good jokes along the way. So it did have some redeemable qualities. And the fact that it remained funny, I would say throughout, at least it's trying to at least remain funny the whole way. But it with the plot and everything, like you mentioned before, it had some strong points to it. I'll give it that.
Yeah. This is far from perfect of a movie. I think there's a few negatives. I think there's, for being targeted at kids, there was a few like adult theme stuff. I'm thinking of like it's giving the premise of they're going to a dangerous area, Clam City, I think is what it's called. And there's like a bar and they're hinting at other adult theme stuff. And that's what that show did. SpongeBob did that a lot. But maybe that's a little bit of a negative. It was like, I was a little surprised at how much they pushed it. I mean, you see like skulls and like some people that were that kind of stuff. I think that is kind of a negative about it. But just being honest, what are some negatives maybe to throw out there if you wanted to kind of chime in on?
The movie's very in your face. I know I use that phrase a lot. I like the more subtle humor from SpongeBob. The quick jokes are rarely hit for me. I would say that was a big negative. I would say some of the execution of the film was kind of poor. I don't know. They need more David Hasselhoff, I guess.
So you like David Hasselhoff? That's
I thought that was hysterical.
Well, we got to open that up because that was one that I was like, "Whoa, this is so out there," and I laughed. I found it funny, but it was so weird. What did you think about when he showed up on screen?
I didn't know what to think. I was just dumbfounded, I guess. I knew he was in the movie, but I had forgotten like what kind of role that he took because I guess I've seen parts of it or clips of it, and when he started swimming, I really lost it. I thought that was hysterical.
It's so weird. Like there's this bounty hunter that Plankton hires to go after him. That's also another part of the plot. You know, there's this like, and that's how it ends. Is they're fighting on David Hasselhoff, and it's like his hairy leg and just like his hair's flashing. Like, So weird, but I was laughing. I was laughing a lot.
Yes.
It was well
Yes.
done. I agree with you that was one of the bright spots of it. And the fact that he agreed to do that and just be like, yeah, this is, I'm sure when he read the script, he's like, okay. He just seems like that kind of guy. Like, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So trying to explain it to somebody like that premise, it's just kind of different. But yeah, again, I go back to it. It's got its moments. I'm kind of with you on there. Some things do stick, some don't.
Yeah.
I forgot about the note. Like the part where they're in like under the lamp. There's that scuba diver that captures them. The one-eyed Cyclops.
Yes.
And his arm breaks off. SpongeBob's does. You're laughing all right. See, that stuck for me. I don't know why. It was so dark. And Patrick just puts it on crooked. And he's just like, thanks, Patrick. You know, my kids lost it. They were laughing. And I'm like, this is so dark and morbid, but I can't help but laugh. He's a sponge. You know, he'll be fine. And he turns out to be fine. But yeah, there's moments like that actually stick really well. There's other parts I do agree. It's like, you know, they kind of in your face and it's just being wacky, maybe a little too much. But moments like that, I wish there was a little bit more of. I think one thing just a random note is the thing I like about this movie is it actually gave me nostalgia in a weird way. Is it reminded me how movies used to be when I would go watch them as a kid, and that I can tell you certain scenes. Oh, you remember this scene? You remember that scene? This movie has that for me. And maybe that's not for everybody, but you know, you open the quote with bubbles, like the part with the bubbles. They're everywhere in the bar, or whatever. Like, hey, who blew the bubble? That's like, oh, remember the bubble scene? You could just say the bubble scene. The very beginning when King Neptune comes in and he's like, I'm bald. And people are like, and the guy goes, my eyes. Like, that's a scene I think of, as silly as that is. Just, it's a weird thought, but I made a note of that. It's strange how this movie gives me nostalgia, even though going back to, I never watched it back when it came out. It was more of just the ads. So that's something I do appreciate. It's got its misses, but it also has its hits. And I do appreciate that about this movie. It's not trying to be something it's not. It's just, hey, this is a whole wild and craziness that the show is. Just go with the flow. Just go with it and be ready with it. But anything else? You can be the positive, you can be a negative that you'd like to bring out.
I got a couple quotes. I mean, they're all short and quick, but I've got a couple quotes.
Yeah.
So the first quote I got mentioned that I thought took note of was, cleanliness is next to managerialness. When he's hoping to get the promotion. Yes. And I also liked, you don't need a license to drive a sandwich.
I love that. That was a great one. I actually thought of you during that scene. He like opens up the patio and he's like got the fryer. He's like, he's got all these specs on there. And I thought of you. I was like, oh, that sounds like Seth explaining a car, like opening. It still is. It was.
I like to be thought of that way.
Yes, it was great. I love that scene. It was really, really dark. I love the quotes of he said King Neptune had the thing, he turned Mr. Krabs back, but he was a boy. And he's like, what happened? He's like, oh, sorry, I had it on real boy setting. And had to switch it back.
Yeah, that was so random. I like that. That was funny.
Yes, and speaking of Squidward, he actually had a good line. I wrote this one down. I was like, I got to write this one down. He said when he confronted Plankton about his scheme, he caught on to what was going on with the buckets that were mind controlling people. He's like, you might have hoodwinked this whole town, but you can't fool me. I listen to public radio.
I caught that too.
I like that one. So
yeah, that was good.
There's some great lines in this one. Again, not all of them stick, but I did actually laugh pretty hard at a few of them. I was finding myself laughing at, like, again, the dark moments. I don't know what's wrong with me. The free ice cream stand from the old lady where, like, it's just so silly. See, I mean, it's just like, I don't know why I laughed so hard at that. It's this big fish that's using it the trap, and oh, it's so dark. It's so, like, it almost gives you chills a little bit of like, ugh, but stuff like that. I don't know. That's where I think this movie really excels. So I think we touched on things pretty well, but I'm interested to hear your fun facts. So fire away.
So my first fun fact is final Nickelodeon. It was the final Nickelodeon movie to be released on VHS. So you were correct.
Ah, there we go.
And I know it was orange because I remember that.
Absolutely. That would not be a Nickelodeon movie. That was their calling card. I wish they would come back. I mean, people love nostalgia. So what am I saying? They're probably working on it right now.
So the next one, an 11-foot long David Hasselhoff figure was built so the cameraman could film without straining the real Hasselhoff. Because I'm guessing it's because when he was laying straight, and he didn't move, but his neck is like crazy.
11.
I found more fun facts on that, but I didn't write them down. There was three fun facts on this 11-foot tall David Hasselhoff.
I'm laughing right now because I'm picturing that is in somebody's garage right now. You know somebody.
That was one of the fun facts. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. Maybe I could call back to that some other time.
Oh, that's where my mind went. Is that's just they did destroy that prop. Somebody had to have claimed it and went yoink. Like, I'm taking this. That's hilarious.
So you and I are both Nickelodeon's fans. So Scarlett Johansson accepted the role of the film as she was a big fan of cartoons, especially Ren and Stimpy show.
Yes. That's something else I will probably say hit for me with this. It reminded me of Ren and Stimpy, that humor. And
yeah,
I'll say it. I mean, it was a messed up TV show. It had some dark moments. I don't think I watched the whole series, but the first season I recall I grew up with. And that's what probably the nostalgia was giving me. But that's not surprising. If you like Ren and Stimpy, I could see her being like, yes, I want to do this because it's very similar.
I can't even quote my favorite Ren and Stimpy parts on this show.
Yeah. That's
all right. Next,
yeah. Moving on.
So SpongeBob says that he's been Employee of the Month 374 times. This means that he has been working at Krusty Krab for at least 31 years and 2 months.
That's hilarious.
That might be the best joke in the movie.
It is. I wanted to do the math on that, and I thought to myself, I started laughing because I was thinking it had to be up there on like maybe 15, 20 years. That was just a spitball. You move on, but that's hilarious. I love it.
Well, it's time for a fun fact trivia question. Are you ready? All right. So what is the name of the fish that SpongeBob gave cheese to in his dream? A, Dave, B, Gil, or C, Phil?
Why am I blanking on these? I'm terrible at paying attention to these. I'm going to go with Dave.
All right. It is actually C, Phil. And I apologize because I knew that would be a stumping one because that's so difficult.
You did.
It's so obscure.
The humor in me was like, it's just Dave. Gil makes the most sense, but Phil is an offshoot of it. So
I do pretty good because a lot of the stuff I create in my head is like as answers. So
you could.
I'm doing pretty good at this.
You could have named, because I would have thought Dave. That was just so much of the humor of the show, just random. But I just need to pay attention more. I'm so terrible at these, but I'll get better. I promise. I'm going to do better. I'm not going to give up. So, I'll start a next streak for the next time, a winning streak. I'll be on it.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, before we get to our reviews, we like to kind of look around the net to see what kind of reviews are out there. So, Seth, what kind of reviews are you seeing out there?
We got a repeat offender.
Oh.
Boba_Fett 1138 says, no adventure has been more spongier, 7 out of 10.
Very nice. We love to see our repeat offenders. So great job.
The next one is Count Johnny said, fun for kids, hilarious for adults, 7 out of 10.
All right. I kind of agree with that. Maybe some parts are a little more intense than others, but I could see if it's your type of humor, it hits your funny bone. I could see that. But 7 out of 10, I'm seeing a theme going on.
I'm trying not to cry for this next one.
Okay.
So Grease_Lightning7 says,
these names are I love them.
Cute, funny, and very, very cool, 10 out of 10.
10. Wow. Wow. They are, but that's what I'm hearing. I've heard that though. People love SpongeBob, and we didn't really touch about the impact on again, this was 2004, and the thought was this was kind of a end to the series. Here we are in 2025, as of this recording, and SpongeBob is still going. That's just crazy. If you would have told them back then, I don't think they would have believed you, but people love SpongeBob. I mean,
yeah. So to echo what you're saying, this was supposed to be the finale of the series, and then the movie's reception did so well they renewed it for 4 seasons,
and just
yeah,
just kept going, still
and
going.
it's been going. How long? How many seasons do they have now? I don't even know.
Well, it was 2000 it debuted, so 1999 technically. 25 plus years, just crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Woo.
I mean, hand it to them. They've had it going on. There's few shows that have been that long, even half that long. So hand it to them for that. But that just shows you the following of how strong it is. So not surprising to see that review. So that's awesome. All right, let's get down to it. So Seth, I have to ask you the question for SpongeBob SquarePants, the movie. How are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at grandma's? Are you going to hide it in the attic?
I have to hide this in the attic. Had I watched the show more often, I might have been a little more interested.
I can get that. Going back to the humor, this is a different kind of humor. And I would say this is not my absolute favorite. But I will admit, I was laughing a lot more than I thought. It helps when you have little kids and they just giggle and laugh at you. You think about maybe the joke wasn't that funny, but it does enhance it. So I tried to take myself back. I need to look at this of I'll just say I had a fantastic time. My kids loved it. They were just cracking up. They loved the jokes. They thought pretty much all of them stuck. And it's what it's gearing towards. It's gearing towards kids. So the kids are going to love it. It has its intense parts. We've talked about a little bit here and there, just the darker parts that go through the monsters and stuff. But I couldn't help it. I actually had a really good time. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's good enough to take home. So I'm going to watch this at grandma's, but I'm going to have a good time, I think, going back to this one because I was laughing. I mean, I was belly laughing. I'm not ashamed to admit that. There was just, I don't know, it just reminded me of Ren Stimpy. It reminded me of that humor, and that's up my alley. Just having a good, dark, I don't want to say it has to be as dark as possible, but you have a good, clever way of mixing that in, I guess, that can tickle my funny bone. I don't know what else to say, but that's just my rating. It's not my absolute favorite, but I had a good time with it. And I'm sure this could shock my grandma. She probably wouldn't like some of the jokes in there, but I could almost see my grandma chuckling at some things, if that makes sense. So, well, there you go, folks. We have covered the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. But before we wrap things up, Seth, why don't you tell the good people where they can find and connect with us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can email us at moviesatgrandmashouse@gmail.com. We have a newsletter. Keep up to date of all things Movies at Grandma's House. We're on Patreon. Check us out. Become a member. And go to movieposters.com. Type in Grandma's House at checkout for 15% off.
All right. So there you go, folks. Again, be sure you look us up. Drop us a line if you agree, disagree, all that good stuff with us. We'd love to hear from you, but be sure you're on our newsletter because that is where you'll be entered for a free poster from movieposters.com in our monthly contest, and you'll be in the know for all things Movies at Grandma's House. So that's going to do it for now at Grandma's House, but don't worry, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Buddy.